muy malo. Roto el pato de vestuario. La interpretación siempre negativa. Siempre negativa. Nunca positiva.
Hello, welcome back to Siempre Positivo after a busy summer at Barcelona and a great start to the season as Hansi Flick's side beat Elche 5-0 on Sunday to kick off their defence of La Liga. 2 goals from Rafinha, 2 from Fermin Lopez and 1 from debutant Karim Adeyemi. I'm Sam Marsden, joined by Rick Sharma and Tony Juan Marti. Rick, how you doing? Welcome back.
Thanks. Welcome back to what?
Yeah, well, it's been a long summer. Of course, we've not been on the Monday podcast. We've been recording over on Patreon. So welcome back to everyone in that sense who's missed you over the summer.
Okay,
missed your ratings, missed your takes.
If they missed me that much, they would have joined up to the Patreon to listen to our summer episodes.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was missing you then. Good point, well made. Tony, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están?
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Nice to check your nice apartment, eh?
Yeah. Well, Tony's come round to my apartment to check out what it's like to live with a kid. See what he needs to do, what planning he needs to do for the future. He's going around taking photos, planning arrangements, asking lots of questions.
Yeah. Investigating what Luna was watching on Netflix and so
what's
on.
age appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, I don't really know where to start because obviously we've spoken a lot about the signings, but quick update on the summer. It's been busy at Barca, hasn't it? There's been Adeyemi, Gordon, Rodri, João Cancelo have all come in. Jesse Basiba as well. We're still waiting on Julian Alvarez. We might come on to him at the end of the podcast. Or a striker, possible movements in defence as well with Alejandro Balde perhaps set to leave. We'll see what happens there after the weekend. And it all led to a fairly impressive result on the opening day. We'll get into the performance. It was a sloppy start, but once they got into their groove, they certainly showed that they could be a menace in attack this season against Elche. Rafinha opening the scoring in the first half with a penalty which he won. Rafinha then turning provider for Adeyemi to score on his Barca debut, and Barca ran away with the game in the second half after the substitutions. A couple of assists for one man who came on, Anthony Gordon, the second particularly unselfish for Fermin Lopez, another for Rafinha as well, and then the fifth goal, another goal by Fermin Lopez, set up by Javi Esparza, who was perhaps one of the big talking points as well in Barca's win over Elche, playing at left back with Balde left out of the squad, João Cancelo, Jordi Pesquer on the bench. Rick, I mean, it's difficult. I don't think we want to judge performances too much at the start of the season, but my impression was, and if you're going to try and take a sort of like a top line or a takeaway from the season, is that not necessarily that Barca are going to wipe the floor with everyone because they won 5-0, but that's going to be fun because we saw the same things that we've seen under Flick, but perhaps they've got players more suited to what Flick wants from his style in terms of, exploding into that space which is left for them. And Elche are a side that did leave that space. Not everyone will leave that space.
That's the thing, yeah. I mean, straight off the bat, I'm going to say that anything that happens in this game against Athletic and against Rayo, more or less, I'm not going to read too heavily into, because then there comes a 3-week international break, and then the season... No.
There's 7 games before the international break.
Really?
The international break is not until September. The last game before the international break is September the 20th. There's 2 big windows instead of 3 smaller windows this time. It's the first time with the new window.
Oh, it starts on September 20th, yeah, because I go to Italy on the 21st.
So Barca play Elche, then they play Athletic and Rayo at home, then they have Valencia and Levante away, then they have Racing Santander at home, then they have Sevilla away, and then it's the international break.
For some reason, maybe it's because La Liga have only done the fixtures up until the Rayo game, and they haven't done next weekend.
They're up until the Valencia game. It's the which is the
Sunday
at 4:15 on the 6th of September, is it?
Yeah. Well, I'll delete that point from my. What I was going to say was I'm not going to read too heavily into it. That's a good point because I think a lot of people might have been expecting an international break as well, so it's good to clarify it. Yeah, but basically the first 2 or 3, 4 games of the season is a bit hard to read anything into because not only is our Barca players still finding their groove and warming up, the opponents are as well. Barca could end up playing some team that ends up being really good this season, but starts the season really badly because they're just not in the right shape. I'm not saying Elche are that team. I think Elche, like you said, just with the way they play, are vulnerable to a team like Barca, leaving a lot of space for Barca to attack and the fast players. So, I'm not going to read too heavily into that. But what we can say is, like you said, the fact that they've got this pace in attack now, which they didn't really have last season, mainly because Rafinha was injured a lot. Lamine for half the season wasn't at his best, and then neither Lewandowski nor Varane are particularly fast.
Yeah.
So now they have rapid players who can...
Yeah, in terms of Adeyemi and Gordon, Lamine's still not his best after the World Cup. That's the other thing to do with this season. I think any season, the first 2 or 3 games is kind of an extension of pre-season, but particularly when you've come off the back of Europeans and World Cups, but especially a European Championships or a World Cup when so many of your players have gone so deep. 10 for Barca in terms of the 8 Spain lads. Substituting Rodri for Varane, it's still 8. And Gordon and Koundé, of course, were also still involved until, the very, very end, playing in the third place playoff, etc. So you've got players coming back at different points, which is why we didn't see Kubasi play yesterday. We saw Pedri come on the bench, come on and obviously do a very good job once Gavi got injured. We saw Lamine Yamal go off and perhaps not be at his best because...
I wonder on Lamine whether actually Flick maybe would have preferred not to start him, but we know with Lamine he always wants to play.
Yeah.
And he had to.
Yeah, who knows what the exact situation is with Lamine. Obviously in the World Cup he wasn't at his best because he was coming off the back of a hamstring injury, then had a couple of weeks off, come straight back in, a little bit disjointed. It might take him a few weeks to get back up to scratch, but like you say, I think Flick just has to play him into form and hope that at some point it comes. Tony, 5-0, 5 goals, a clean sheet. There were a couple of moments Elche could have scored. There was a big save from Joan Garcia. I think it was at about 3-0, was it? Or 2-0, the one when he's got down with his...
I think it was
with his
3-0.
legs.
3-0, yeah.
I mean, it was the Barca we've come to, as I said to Rick just then, the Barca we've come to sort of know under Flick, a little bit vulnerable at the back, can be explosive and good in attack, but perhaps looks like potentially this season that could be a little bit accentuated with the way the squad's changed.
Yes, at the end is what Rick says, no? Analysis on the result, yeah, it's still summer. Elche being also friendly team with a defensive line always in the midfield line, so very easy, very friendly to attack these kind of teams. But apart from the concrete game, then you can of course praise the good game of Gordon when he came, Xavi's part, brilliant. But apart from all of this, what I can see that it's a big issue that Barca got is that you see that for the first time in a lot of time, the sporting director and the coach are in the same line. And this is very important. If you want, we have said this many times, if you want a player to leave, the coach has to do himself, his thing. You cannot say the coach, as it was with Koeman or other teams, or other coaches in the last 10 years, that the club wants to sell him, but then the coach tells him, no, you will play with me. No, same speech. The club wants to sell Balde. Look, Hansi Flick is now a soldier of the sporting director. This is how you get things. So what I want to tell you is that, okay, in June maybe Barca will fail, will win or not. But in terms of building the squad, it's so smart what Barca has done. Perfect, exact profile of players that you are saying, running into the space, pressing Adeyemi, Gordon, 2 very good tools that Barca has found, of course, Gordon paying it. But you see that Barca knows what are they doing. They know what are they building, what do they want. Now still pushing Koundé or Balde, showing that they want to play because you want to sell them. So I can see this great feeling between the conflict, and this is what make a club progress. So, yeah, of course, doesn't mean nothing, but the way Barca is working now in the Mercato, in the transfer window, is for the first time in the last 13 years with a lot of sense, with knowing where to go, with knowing exactly all these things. Deco was saying already when I was journalist in touch with him, he was always in favor of playing with a fake 9, like not pure 9. He was always in favor of Dani Olmo as a number 9. Now you see that there is no clear number 9 in Barca. And this allows you a lot of things. Also PSG won the Champions League without a pure 9, with Gonzalo Ramos appearing only in the last 30 minutes. So it's great the way Barca is proceeding, understanding what Flick wants, and I'm sure that without a pure 9, breaking into the space, the right wing, the left wing, the number 10, Olmo, Fermin from the second line. So if you ask me, do you think Barca needs a number 9? Yes. But even if a big number 9 comes, maybe we still could see him in the bench in big games, even if tell him, I don't know, Osimhen or whoever it is, could be still in the bench.
Over the last few weeks, that's what I've come around to. I don't think Barca should go out and spend 80, 90 million on a...
Mikhail Tadze.
No, I wouldn't pay that much.
He would be cheaper than that.
I wouldn't pay that much for Mikhail Tadze anyway.
Rick would pay more anyway.
No.
Yeah.
No, well, someone like Mikhail Tadze, the reason not saying him particularly, but just as an example, is because he can sit on the bench for 4 games while Gordon is playing at number 9 or Rafinha is playing at number 9. That's maybe the profile that Barca should go for, rather than like a Lautaro Martinez who would expect to come in and play 90% of games.
Yeah. This Lautaro story was typical Barca story. I knew it, and some French journalists asked me, and I said, I don't know how to say in English, but don't get on this boat. Like, short stories, it's leaked his name, then 2 days, then Inter president says no way, and the story is dead. Yeah. Typical Barca story, of course, no way, you cannot take captain of Inter August 21 as Inter was Burnley. You know, it's serious team, and it's big, so massive story, so no way you can take Lautaro.
Yeah, I mean, the 9 situation, obviously you don't want to read too much into the fact that they scored 5 against Elche, but there are options there. Rafinha played there against Elche from the start. He then went outright to allow Dani Olmo to come on and play there. Dani Olmo creates space in a different way. Speaking after the game, Anthony Gordon spoke about being prepared to play there, enjoying playing there, and mentioning, obviously, as we spoke about on the podcast earlier summer when he signed, position he played quite a lot for Newcastle United last summer. Adeyemi potentially, I guess, could also play there. So there is those options, like Tony says, perhaps none of those players are quite, apart from, I guess, Rafinha and Lamine Yamal, at the level of, what the PSG front three have done over the last 2 years. But it's a way of playing that's been successful in Europe for other clubs. And yeah, means Barca don't have to be stupid in their hunt of a number 9, I guess. We'll see how that develops against Athletic. And, well, I guess Rayo's pretty late in the transfer window now because that's the day before. But we'll see how that develops in terms of their search. Maybe we'll come on to Julian a little bit at the end. I don't know if you covered the Atletico Madrid game on Sunday.
Yeah, I watched it, yeah. He didn't do anything when he came on, and then had this moment at the end where Simeone said after the game the club had decided that Julian shouldn't go with the rest of the team to sort of thank the fans. And so Julian ends up walking down the tunnel by himself. And it's like a kind of almost quite shocking moment to see it, him, one player walking off by himself, to the jeers of everyone. Well,
because especially as it's quite common at the Metropolitano now for the Atletico players to go over to the fans.
Yeah.
I don't know if every game, because I mostly am there for big Atletico games, but I think it's most games.
I don't know whether... It's hard to know exactly what the truth is, whether the club told Julian he should leave the pitch or not. Because he could have, without going over to the front of the team, being like, yeah, clapping the fans, he could have just walked over and stood behind them, like relatively, like Ashley Cole in the Roma photo, rather than just walking down the tunnel.
No, but it was his own decision, no? To keep making...
Simeone said it was the club's decision.
The club
told
yeah,
them.
Because now, as they are convinced that he will say they are trying to protect him already, like, hey, look, we are protecting you, instead of saying you left to the pitch.
But this,
okay, we are not that bad, forget about all these stories.
Yeah.
Because at the end, it's true that if you are going to keep him, you need to get a restart, with him, otherwise he will be lost all the season.
Simeone looked awkward talking about it. I don't know if he's on the same page as the club. I don't know if Simeone would have sold him for 150 million, had it done with, and signed some strikers.
I agree with this. Football there is no memory in football. If in I'm not going to say 2 days because it has been too big for only be a matter of 2 days. But if in 1 month he has scored already 2 important goals, this is already forgotten. It's always the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, the whole situation is a mess.
Unless he wants to keep pushing
for January or next summer.
Thinking for January or for next summer.
Yeah, I actually don't see the reconciliation. I don't think it'll be like Griezmann coming back and then going on to become the club's top goal scorer or whatever. I think Alvarez is out on Atletico and doesn't want to do that. He's not. There's no part of him that's interested in reconciling.
I know the Griezmann sort of parallel is a good one, but don't forget that Griezmann also actually of his own accord turned down Barca that first time. I know there was a second time when he then went back again, but the first summer when he turned down Barca and had a little bit of reconciliation to do, he'd done a documentary which ended with him saying, I'm staying at Atletico Madrid.
The popcorn.
La Decisión.
Yeah, so Julian was on the bench for Atletico in their 2-2 draw with Villarreal. He came on and was jeered and whistled, and as Rick said, went down the tunnel.
But I think Barca will end up signing, Flick wants.
This week.
Yeah.
They need. It's obvious.
Oh, do you mean Julian or a striker?
No, and a striker.
I thought you meant Julian.
No, and a striker for me for sure.
It's obvious they need one because you're not going to play against a high line every week.
In fact, you will face more teams low block than what you saw yesterday.
And look. I mean, like SP is a good example in Real Madrid's game against Espanyol defending, trying to hold off Madrid at the end, and you have a proper striker in the box doing striker things.
Yeah, exactly. No, but now I know how it works in Barcelona media. I don't read this anymore, but if you enter the main websites of journals, like saying this new Barca, they don't need number 9, the option can be Rafinha, all this shit. But no, Barca will go for a number 9, I think. Problem is what to bring, no? Doing like all in or thinking that you want to do something low cost to buy time until next summer. I think
low cost and sign Haaland next summer for me is, if you can do that, then that's the perfect scenario.
Well, I don't know what money will be available next summer if they're back at. They've obviously had a lot of money invested this year, and if they're leaving Spotify Camp Nou, maybe they'll have their budget readjusted. It might have to be now or never.
Sell Frankie de Jong, sell Balde, sell one or two others. I could see it happening next summer.
Yeah, you never know. Well, it's one to watch certainly in this last week of the transfer window, the number 9 situation, whether it's Julian, another player, a low cost option. Because Tony's right, Flick does want a striker before the transfer window closes, even if it's not someone who definitely starts every game, someone who can give him that option when they're at home against deep blocks, or last 20 minutes chasing a game in the Champions League, or who knows, more of a box player, more of a goal scorer, more of a natural striker.
Well, it's just a classic thing of someone who the centre-backs have to be worried about and have to stay in their position, and then you have more space for the other players, the wide players to play.
Yeah. I mean, that's one big talking point from Barca's opener, the fact that they were so effective, I guess, more than anything. It wasn't that they were brilliant in attack, they were effective in attack. Certainly once Gordon came on, that 10 minutes when they scored those 2 goals, using the spaces, finishing was good, from Rafinha, from Adeyemi, from Firmino, they were all well taken goals. The other situation is the left back one, which we've touched on. I mean, Javi Espark came in and played left back. As far as I know, he's not played left back before. He came through Barca's academy as a midfielder. He's been used as a right back by Hansi Flick, who's compared him to Philipp Lahm in the past, who he of course worked with the German national team. I think he was retired. I think I looked it up when he made the comments originally. I don't think he worked with Lahm at Bayern Munich. I think he was retired by then, but certainly with the German national team. But yeah, anyway, and then he was a surprise pick at left back. Barca also had Cancelo as an option, although he'd only arrived this week, hasn't played for a while, of course, and Jordi Pesca, the youngster who's played quite a bit in pre-season. But they left out Balde and went with Espark, and with the caveat once again that it was against Elche, and he'd come up, and I presume he won't be used as a left back very often. I mean, stranger things have happened, I guess, but didn't have a lot to do defensively, but read the game well, intercepted well, good with the ball, as we know he is as a centre midfielder. Perhaps one of the highlights of the 5-0 win, Javi Espark.
Yeah, I mean, he was good, and he set up the 5th goal for Firmino.
Curiously, from the 2007 generation as well, so you could have. It's a shame Kubasi wasn't ready, otherwise you'd have had 4 from that team starting last night in terms of Kubasi, Javi Espark, Marc Bernal and Lamine Yamal, 4 19-year-olds starting on the first game of the season. Well, it was still 3, but...
I was asked for Xavi Espark like 2 years ago from an agent that you already know. He asked me, because he had, I think, the chance to try to sign him. And I to be honest, I said I don't see him, because at that moment was not really doing especially well, but in the last year, even if he had an injury, he has done a very impressive progress. So yeah, I said no. I didn't say it was bad, but I said nothing special. I don't think he will be first team player. And look now. So
but it's super hard to say that about kids. I find that the hardest thing in football is to watch.
No, but he was already almost in Barça B, I mean
16-17
or 16-17, but he was not doing nothing special.
No, he was playing in midfield as well at the time, I guess.
And look now, crazy.
Yeah.
Very mature. I mean, he plays with a lot of confidence. He has been playing there for 3-4 years.
Sometimes that's half the battle when you come into, especially at a club like Barca, is that a Spark could be almost exactly the same as another player of his age or a year younger or a year older. But if you can go in and play comfortably at that level in terms of just more the confidence more than anything, like you can't imagine like psychological what it's like to be playing for Barca in La Liga. Like I saw an interview the other day, I think it was just with a Sunderland player, but he spoke about like how like, you know, when you're making your debut and stuff, like you don't realise how like risk averse you are, and then you look back and you're like, what am I doing? Why am I playing like that for all my life? Like youth football, I've been like making these passes, these runs and stuff, and then all of a sudden you're dropped into like the Premier League or a senior game or a Barca game, and you're doing things you wouldn't ordinarily do because you're scared to take risks or do things and make a mistake
under the spotlight of everyone watching, as opposed to just 100 people.
And there are players that can step in and thrive in that environment. And so far, Aspart looks like that could be him. I feel fairly certain to say that he's going to be around the first team all season now. I don't know if that's even an exaggeration based on the fact so versatile. Especially we'll see what happens with Gavi's injury. He could end up being, with Gavi and De Jong out, he could end up being the fourth centre midfielder after Pedri, Rodri and Bernal. Could see him getting a lot of minutes there in midfield with the situation as it is at the moment. With Casado set to leave, De Jong out, Gavi, we'll see what his injury is.
If I remember rightly, Aspart made a big mistake towards the end of last season. Not like a crazy, ridiculous thing, but he made a big mistake to concede a goal. And so it's quite pleasing and promising that he's still involved and he looked confident yesterday and hasn't let that get to him, because that is exactly the sort of thing that could dent your confidence, having that.
Yeah. Well, moving on from Aspart, but sticking with the position. He's obviously playing because Balde was cut from the squad. It's kind of unravelled. It's kind of been one that we've spoken about probably over the last year in terms of Barca wouldn't be averse to someone coming in with a big money bid for Balde, to the point where it's kind of just literally accelerated over the last week, to the point where Barca are sort of actively, I don't know if pushing him out is the word, but telling him, look, we'd like you to leave, kind of thing. Even if Hansi Flick says, I've not told him to leave. I mean, if you look at what Flick said this weekend, on Saturday, he was asked, do you count on Alejandro Balde? And he said, that's a very difficult question. And then he went off on a rant. I mean, not specifically about Balde, but obviously about Balde, because you asked about Balde, about wanting players that are 100% committed, prepared to fight for their position, etc., etc. Then on Sunday morning, he obviously left him out of the squad. His answer after the game, and before the game, we did interviews before and after the game against Elche, was a little bit different, because he then sort of slightly inferred that things were going on in Balde's head, which wasn't really the read. The read from Saturday was that, Balde's not doing enough, not evolved, not working hard enough for his spot, etc. I've not seen enough progress there. I'm probably not counting on him. But on Sunday, he said things a little bit more like, he's not 100% with us. He's got a few things going on in his head. We've agreed to speak tomorrow. It feels like he will leave this week. How do you see the Balde situation going?
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that he would leave this week. From what Flick said after the game, it's true. It seemed more like Flick was suggesting that Balde maybe hasn't had the best attitude since the club re-signed Cancelo or something. Like, it seemed like he hasn't been committed in training, or has been like, maybe he's like just feeling annoyed because he thinks he's going to be out of the team because Cancelo will be in the team. So maybe that's what's led to this being dropped out of the squad on Sunday, rather than the club are trying to sell him, which they may be trying to sell him, but maybe that's not the reason he's not in the squad.
Yeah. How do you see Balde? Because I think it's true, he hasn't evolved enough. There are a lot of people that say, I think there's a tendency to hang on to him as well because he's an academy player. I can understand why the club would want to let him leave if there's a big offer. He just hasn't kicked on. And obviously, Flick sees every day what he sees and doesn't feel he's perhaps going to reverse that trend. Yeah,
the problem with Balde is he came through and he was exciting, and you expect him to continue developing and he hasn't done that. And he's just kind of a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 player, which is fine, but not fine enough. Like, it's what I said last season with a bunch of Barca's players. 7 out of 10 isn't good enough to be a starter at Barca.
Tony, how do you see the Balde situation unfolding this week?
To be honest, for me, it's not like that easy that he leaves us. You see,
no, I don't think it's that easy. But I think there's been a change over the last couple of days. I don't think perhaps Flick would have said all these things so publicly if he didn't think it was possible. I also think the fact that Jorge Mendes is the agent. I think Mendes is one of the better agents for getting players to move.
Yeah.
But I mean, the situation is first that even if has been said or leaked that he has decided to leave, this is not true. There is a clown with a cap saying stupid news quite often in Catalonia. It's not true.
All right, Frankie.
Yeah. And he said, yeah, he has decided to leave Barca. This is not true. He feels, of course, that the trust on him is going lower and lower. No one from the club has told him yet that he needs to leave. Also, it's not easy to make a change in only 7 days. Mm-hmm. Normally, humans want to prepare for a decision. It's like, okay, now not, but in summer, because you need to digest. How do you digest?
Yeah.
So for me, it's not easy. Also, everybody knows that Barca wants to get rid of him. So if Barca thinks that someone will pay 50 million, I think it's totally wrong. So different things have to fit for me. But yes, it's obvious that Balde, for me, is the biggest position in the lineup of Barca that I would change, no? Because in attack he brings nothing, and defending he's not horrible, but just decent, average. So he's not giving you an extra value. So for me, it makes all the sense for Barca, and I think that this decision of leaving him at home before playing against Elche is a smart move. Is the example that I was saying, because imagine that after all this news
gets injured.
No,
he starts.
No, he starts.
Plays well,
and then Balde says, "Okay, yeah, I need to improve." But then you play again. But now you have all these things. But then the club found the perfect so smart flick, because he didn't say, "I want you to leave." No, I think, but at the end you're out. You're out of the team. So this is good way of pressing him. So this is the perfect example that sporting director and coach going on the same direction. I would say 60-40, 60% he stays. This is my opinion.
Yeah, well, the one doubt I have is, where does he go? Yeah. Because usually by this point there would be,
United, no?
Yeah, Man United's... I was thinking
but how solid was that link? I did see it. But
not in terms of the link, but in terms of the only club who could pay for him, who could...
Do they want a left... They would fit a player. I understand from what I've read they do want a left back. I have seen that, but I haven't seen... I did see someone... I don't know who it was, saying that United had made an approach last week, but I didn't see it. Happens quite a lot with the English clubs. With Barca, it's often a little bit more scattered in terms of how the leagues come. It's often quite coordinated from an English club in terms of, especially United and Liverpool, those bigger clubs with the big sort of press packs following them. They'll all do it at the same time. Yeah. Manchester United have expressed an interest in Balde, but just etc. I could just have missed it, but I don't remember seeing anything about that yet from Manchester United.
It wasn't wide. But just in terms of looking at which clubs could do it, like they've got Luke Shaw. And then they've got Dorgu, but they use Dorgu as a winger or midfielder. So, even you look at the other clubs, like Chelsea signed Pep Chavarria.
They can have Luke Shaw and Alejandro Balde, and they'll both be injured for half the season.
Yeah.
That's the other thing with Balde, he does have the odd injury.
And then what? Saudi Arabia, it's the other place you send players, but I don't know if Balde would want to go there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is he could command a fee. I don't know if a late loan would be an option. It wouldn't help that much. Doesn't have the biggest salary in the squad. Tony, what do you think the club want to do at left back? Do you think Cancelo is his first choice left back? They're happy to have a Spartan, Pesquera as his backups. Salinas from Racing is obviously always there as an option. Let's say Balde goes for 45 million.
It's difficult to predict who will be. I would say right now that if you ask me who will be the starter of Barca in an important game right now as the squad is, maybe I would say Gerard Martin and Eric Nkubarsi centre backs. I know that now Flick wants Gerard as a centre back, but still I see Cancelo not really reliable in big games, even if he was very good last season.
I think Cancelo would have to unprove himself for that to be the case. Like right now, I think it'd be Cancelo. Once he's fit, I think it'd be Cancelo starting. But if he then proves that he can't be relied on, then maybe
he's got less than 3 strikes. How many strikes would you say he's got? One mistake in a big game and Flick would start to tremble.
2. It has to be 2. And then one can happen to anyone. But yeah.
So even though Barca have made 5 signings, if we can include Bisibu, who's obviously not been registered with the first team with Barca Athletic, there is still expected to be activity this week, whether it's a striker, whether it's a shake-up in defence, whether it's incomings or outgoings. So certainly one to watch, and one we'll comment on Patreon at the time when it happens, or after the Athletic game on Thursday night. Let's bring ourselves back to the 5-0 win for the first time this season. Let's hear from Rick's ratings after Elche 0, Barcelona 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give Joan Garcia 8 in goal. And he didn't have that much to do, but he made important saves to keep a clean sheet when asked to save something. The fullbacks I liked. I'm going to give 7.5, Eric and Espart. Both good games. Eric with a really good interception in the first half when Barca had a rare moment of nerves at the back. Centre-backs, decent 7. Christensen and... who was the other one? Gerard Martin. Yeah, I don't have the line up in front of me, so I'm doing it off the top of my head. Midfield, I was a little bit, not disappointed, but it was a bit underwhelming. It wasn't really a game about the midfield.
Bernal was one of the sloppy players. I mean, he got better, but at first he was very sloppy. I mean, I guess maybe it was hard for him as the lone pivot with Gavi and Fermin Lopez, because they're both sort of quite sort of frantic players.
Frantic is the perfect word to describe it,
that also doesn't, there were a couple of times when he made sloppy passes, etc., which is not to do with that.
I'm going to give Bernal and Gavi both 5.5. I thought they were the weakest player. Maybe and Lamine as well.
I think Bernal was...
I think he went from less to more,
I think it was not a bad game of Bernal.
First 25 minutes, there were a couple of times when he was sloppy, I thought.
Yeah, and the Flick was quite anxious about that. I even asked him about that after the game. He was like, why were you so anxious in the first 25 minutes? And he was like, because you kept giving the ball away, which is not what we're about. So 5.5 for those, 2 for me. And then Fermin, 9, 2 goals. I mean,
superb.
Yeah. Lamine 5.5. I'm going to give 5 to. I think he was actually the worst.
Probably
player
the
of
best
game.
news that you can win 0-0 with the worst without Lamine. I would say.
Yeah. Without Lamine, I'm a bit not to be worried like sound the alarm, but a bit worried about Lamine in that he wasn't really particularly good at the World Cup.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
so-
been a few months now.
So at
obviously.
the end is 6 months without being at the best level.
Yeah.
Between injury, holidays, and then it's almost 5 months since he's not on a very good level.
Exactly. It doesn't mean he's not going to be back to it within a few weeks, but just a mild concern. And then Rafinha up front, 9, 2 goals and an assist for Rafinha, and on the left, Adeyemi 7 for me. I think he also went from less to more. First half an hour was pretty shaky, not great, and then he grew into the game, scored his goal, and was quite good after that.
Pedri came on in the first half.
Yeah, Pedri
Added the control that Barca had been lacking. Changed when he came on.
7.5 for Pedri. A nice assist actually. Well, was it? No, it wasn't an assist because Gordon passed it, but nice play in the build up to that last Fermin goal.
Yeah.
Let's see what happened with Gavi.
With the injury, yeah. Have you heard anything?
No, that he was very worried with his knee, and they have to do medicals. Right now, I think they are doing these medicals.
Yeah.
So when our listeners
news at some point on Monday,
this spot, probably news are already there. But take care with this, because a new injury on his knee would mentally destroy him.
Would destroy him, yeah. I think it's more significant for him than for Barca. I don't see him as a starter in this Barca team.
Exactly.
Obviously,
Exactly.
I see him as a very useful player, especially at the start of the season with De Jong injured, with Pedri and Rodri still beating his back in after Rodri the World Cup and back surgery, Pedri the World Cup. I mean, I know Gavi was at the World Cup, they didn't have the same load.
No. Oh, I forgot to give Gordon a rating as well. He gets 8.5, 2 assists. Electric cameo was nice to see.
Very unselfish with the Firmino goal as well.
Gordon, it was funny because we were talking on the previous pod. Tony was like, Ferran scored 20 goals. Gordon needs to do as many as Ferran did to be worth his value. He's already equalled his assists from last season.
Yeah, but not the goals.
In a quarter of a game.
He's equalled his assists, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the end, a number 9 is there to give assists or to score.
Well, Gordon...
You always change the...
Oh yeah, but Gordon's the number 11.
Vale.
You brought up the comparison to Ferran Gordon.
No, let's see. At the moment, Gordon 0 goals. Shark 2 goals.
We almost came through this episode as well until Rick had to bring him up right at the end.
Yeah. It's normal. He's ashamed. Like
we're not comparing Gordon to PSG and French Farmers League, Fish Farmers League, when the Sardine over there.
French farmer Champions League winner 2 times in a row.
Well, actually, Dembele is a better comparison. Let's see. Dembele went to PSG.
Ballon d'Or. You want to win the Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or for Ferran.
So coming soon. Okay, great.
2 Champions Leagues for Dembele. Let's see how Ferran does over that.
Wish there can be a tie between PSG and Barca. We will do live pod in streaming. I don't know how it works, but we will fix it.
Yeah, the Ballon...
Live streaming of the game, watching PSG Barca.
It's too late for this year, but next year we're going to have the Ballon d'Or done.
Ballon Golden, vale.
Ballon Gordon, yeah.
No, but yeah, 2 assists ticked off. What did I predict? No, not predict. But what did I say he needed this season? 10 goals and 10 assists.
80 million transfer. 10 goals and 10 assists would be decent. Yeah.
I said 7.5 rating for the signing. You gave 6, and Tony was 5, I think.
For the Gordon?
For Gordon.
I was 6.
No, not 5. I said 6 or 5.5.
I think I said 6.5 or 7. I don't think I said 6.
I'm going to re-listen.
Don't forget that you are taking conclusions for only one game. It's
August.
No, let's make analysis.
No. This was before. No, we did this before the game.
Yeah. but I mean, yeah. Already saying Gordon, you said that's okay. One game, One game.
Yeah. Judge at the end of the season.
Exactly. Tony's right because, like Gordon said, he's only going to get better and better.
No, because you can not spend 80 million because you need to win at Elche. You spend 80 million because you hope when the moment of the truth arrives, you perform, no?
No, it's true, yeah. No, I think this season would be good if he, obviously 10 and 10 is less than Rashford, but sort of replacing Rashford's numbers with also off the ball, he's going to offer more than Rashford. So to do that while offering more off the ball would be a win for his first season as he adapts to a new club. As Fermin said to him, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
In English. Yeah. Despite Gordon's widely being acclaimed for his good Spanish in his presentation.
Yeah. Right, that's all we've got time for today. We'll be back later this week after Barca's first home league game of the season. They host Athletic Club at Spotify Camp Nou on Thursday at 9 p.m. In the meantime, stay positive.